On today's edition of Cronkite Sports Live, Sun Devil Volleyball continues their rampage through the pack as they celebrate a sweep of Stanford.
Sun Devil football rang the victory bell against a Pac-12 opponent for the first time this season. We'll recap the game and take a look ahead at what's up next up north.
The Conference of Champions gets set for its finale on the hardwood. Stay tuned to meet all of the new faces around the pack. All this and so much more on Cronkite Sports Live.
What's up, everyone? Welcome inside Studio 6 for another edition of Cronkite Sports Live. He's Ben Paris. I'm Kevin Mlater. We thank you for joining us today. And Ben, the talk around town besides the World Series this week has been volleyball. What an incredible weekend for the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Yeah, head coach J.G. Van Niel even getting a little tip of the cap from fellow first-year head coach Kenny Dillingham this week. And you have to be impressed with what the guy's been able to do in just a few short months at the helm.
Could not agree more with you. ASU has 2 top 5 wins in the same season for the first time in 13 years. And by the way, both of those were sweeps.
Yeah, really impressive stuff. And obviously, Marta Levinska has been someone that they've been able to kind of rely on all season long. She led the way in the Stanford match with 17 kills, 12 digs. How about Mary Scholl, some of the supporting cast members? She also tied that lead with 12 digs. Look at Shannon Shields, 28 assists in that one. Great distributor for the team. And of course, Roberta Habello, 21 total attacks. She just kept attacking, and attacking. Our WCSN volleyball reporter Jacob Shanker was at Mullet Arena on Sunday during ASU volleyball's second top 5 upset of the season, and now he joins us in studio. Jacob, what were the biggest factors for ASU that helped propel them to the win against the Cardinal?
Well, one of the biggest factors had to be their defense. All match long, the Sun Devils' defense had dominated over the Cardinal, as ASU was able to hold them to a 19.4 hitting percentage, with Stanford only hitting 10% in the last set. ASU's 50 digs this match were led by the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Week, Mary Schroll, who had 12 herself. The style of Coach Van Niel was evident in this match, as ASU's communication was on point from start to finish. This was their first sweep over the Cardinals since 1993, as they are now tied for the most sweeps in a season with 15. Their 21st win on the season is now also the most wins this century and 6th highest in program history.
And they still have a handful of games to go. One of the biggest contributors for the Sun Devils on Sunday was the senior opposite hitter, Marta Levinska, who has since been named the Pac-12 and NCAA National Player of the Week. But who are some of the other key players that stepped up big in this one?
Well, as mentioned before, Mary Schroll earned her first Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Week nod as she got 12 digs against Stanford and 11 against Cal. Not only that, but setter Shannon Shields continued showing why she is one of the best setters in the Pac-12, as her 28 assists kept her at 4th in the Pac-12 for assists per set. Jelly Sear and Claire Jeter continued to show their offensive and defensive prowess, as Sear got 7 digs and 2 blocks, and Jeter was able to get 3 aces herself. Senior Roberta Rabello's efforts on Sunday helped her pass 200 points on the year, as she becomes the 4th player on the team so far to pass this mark.
Now, a big matchup is coming up on Sunday against USC, and 2 of the most high-powered offensive threats in the country will be involved. What is there to expect in the matchup between Skylar Fields and Marta Levinska?
Well, I'm certain that this will be an exciting and high-scoring match to watch. First off, this will be the second time that Coach Van Niel is facing off against his former team after beating them in 5 sets a few weeks ago. But it will also be exciting to see how senior Skylar Fields and Marta Levinska will match up against each other. Fields and Marta are currently 1st and 2nd in the Pac-12 for kills, respectively. Fields has a whopping 445 kills, while Levinska has 362. And as you mentioned earlier, Levinska is coming off her third Pac-12 Player of the Week nod of the year after moving to 9th in ASU career kills. This is the 5th nod of her career, which is the most by any Sun Devil. And while ASU has been a powerhouse this year, USC is still an underrated foe, despite their 14-8 record. They beat, at the time, number 4 Washington State and number 17 Purdue a few weeks ago. So their track record is there. This will certainly make it for a great match to watch on Sunday.
Should be a good end to the LA road trip. Thanks, Jacob, very much. And while ASU prepares for another battle on the court, tonight one of its players has turned to her battles off the court to help drive her success. Our Leilani Firetag profiles senior middle blocker Maddie McLaughlin and her battle with Lyme's disease.
This past Sunday, the Sun Devils went up against Stanford and got their second ever sweep against the Cardinal since 1993. To complete the sweep was a kill from Maddie McLaughlin. McLaughlin has been a part of ASU volleyball for 4 years and went from being an outside hitter to a middle blocker in the spring of last year.
When I went up to her and said, hey, we're going to move you and switch your position, as I thought about doing that, I felt pretty confident she'd be down to giving it the college try because of what she'd been through before. So it was like, if there's anyone that I thought could do it, it would be her.
Unfortunately, hard battles is something that McLaughlin is used to. At the end of her freshman year in high school, McLaughlin's health started to deteriorate and was later diagnosed with Lyme disease.
So in the first 2 weeks, if you're able to diagnose it and then treat it, you can get over it pretty quickly. But the second time I got it, we didn't realize what it was until about 2 years into my illness. And so at that point, it was much too late for the more traditional Western treatment of it.
She was no longer able to do simple tasks, such as stand while taking a shower, or simply going to the end of the driveway to get the mail. This put a pause on Maddie's volleyball career and was not able to continue until her senior year. McLaughlin's struggle conquering Lyme disease was long and difficult, giving her the courage to become not just a better player, but a better person.
Oh yeah, I remember there was a moment when I felt completely defeated. I felt like my whole purpose in life had been stripped away from me. And I felt really alone too. I now regard it as one of the best things that ever happened to me. I think it gave me a lot of gifts in terms of my work ethic. And it really solidified what I want, because I think you don't really know how much you love something until it's taken away from you.
McLaughlin's battle with Lyme disease has not only made an impact on her life, but continues to make an impact on others.
Such an example in my life of what hard work and just believing in yourself and in your dreams, how far you could go with that. So yeah, she's definitely been a big influence in my life too.
Just witnessing what she goes through every day now and what she had to overcome, it's really just amazing to see that and to kind of understand, well, if she can do that, I can do anything too.
Her ability to lead by example is just unparalleled. You can't really watch her and go, I don't want to be like that. It'd be really hard because she just gives everything no matter where she is.
As the volleyball season carries on, McLaughlin's journey on the court persists to impress everyone around her and has given her a new perspective on life. Reporting for Cronkite Sports, I'm Leilani Firetag.
Tomorrow will mark 1 week since the Sun Devil football team defeated Washington State 38-27. The win signifies the first Pac-12 dub under head coach Kenny Dillingham and the first Power 5 victory for ASU since October 29, 2022, where interim head coach Sean Aguano took his team into Boulder and beat the Buffaloes of Colorado 42-34. In case you're wondering, that's 364 days between Power 5 victories for the Maroon and Gold. This past Saturday, transportation of the football was equally as effective on the ground as it was through the air en route to that Sun Devil win, with Arizona State recording a season-high 509 yards of total offense. The victory was the first time that Arizona State has had over 250 passing yards and over 200 rushing yards in the same game since they beat Utah on this very date, 2018. Saturday's win over Wazoo also featured a Jalen Conyers 50-yard catch from quarterback Trenton Bourget and Cam Scadaboo's 66-yard run late in the second quarter. Last time ASU had a 50-plus yard pass play and a run for over 60 yards in the same game was December 18th, 2020. And if that date sounds familiar to you Sun Devil fans out there, I'll give you a hint. 70-7. Overall, the ground game for ASU set the tone from the jump as Cam Scatterbu and DeCarlos Brooks each recorded a season high in rushing yards with 121 and 67 respectively. For Brooks, an increase in touches led to him finishing with his best day in the maroon and gold, Ben.
That's right, Kevin. Carlos Brooks had 31 all-purpose yards and a touchdown before Cam Scatterbu even touched the field on ASU's second-to-last play of the first quarter against Washington State on Saturday. Yet Scatterbu still had his best game in an Arizona State uniform, despite basically only playing 3/4 of the game. Now, who knew that increased depth could lead to success for the Sun Devils? Brooks returned from a month-long injury in the loss to Washington State and accounted for 63 yards on the ground. Fast forward a week later and back in Tempe, and the Chandler, Arizona native had a career night rushing for 67 yards on 11 carries and not one, not two, but 3 total touchdowns for the Maroon and Gold. While Cam Scatterbu has been the name to talk about thanks to his dynamic play this season, maybe we should be talking a little bit more about Brooks. The redshirt junior won 3 state championships under ASU running backs coach Sean Aguano at Chandler High School and appeared in every game for Cal last season before transferring back home. After his decision to transfer, Brooks said that he was all in on activating the Valley and fits right into Dillingham's model, where he wants both running backs to have over 800 rushing yards in a season. Keep an eye on number 25 in Salt Lake this weekend.
For sure, Ben, especially since Brooks was the #1 rated running back in the Pac-12 according to Pro Football Focus last weekend. The effort made by the tailback was one of many that were recognized beyond the inner circles of Sun Devil athletics. Arizona State had 3 players earn Pac-12 Players of the Week for their given position, and that, by the way, hasn't happened for Arizona State in the same week in 29 years. Our Blake Neiman has the story.
That's right, Kevin. Not 1, not 2, but 3 Arizona State players received conference-wide recognition for their performances against Washington State. It is just the second time in program history that the Sun Devils have had 3 Pac-12 Player of the Week honorees in the same week. ASU saw representation across all 3 phases of the game, starting in the trenches where Offensive Lineman of the Week Lee Fontenot led the charge in creating open run lanes and clean pockets. Fontenot did not allow a single QB pressure and was also the 15th highest rated center in the nation, according to Pro Football Focus. On the other side of the line of scrimmage, Defensive Lineman of the Week BJ Green created problems for the Cougars. The former walk-on racked up 2.5 tackles for a loss, 1.5 sacks, and 2 quarterback hurries. Green's violent presence gave way to a bloodbath in the backfield, with ASU dropping Cam Ward on 3 sacks while accumulating 8 TFLs. That leads us to the Special Teams Player of the Week, Dario Longhetto, who nailed his first 50-plus yard field goal as a Sun Devil and just the 4th of his career on a clock-expiring 51-yard strike that gave ASU the lead at the half. The Cal transfer also went 5 for 5 on extra point attempts, improving to a perfect 16 for 16 on the season. While it is nice to see all these players receive individual recognition, Kenny Dillingham said that these awards are team-driven and a byproduct of winning. The Sun Devils will need to keep these players and others stepping up to keep the wins and honors coming over the final month of the season. Guys, back to you.
Thanks so much, Blake. Now let's focus on the task at hand for Arizona State football. The Sun Devils haven't won consecutive games since November of 2021, and the odds to break that drought, well, they don't look great. They now have a road test against the 18th-ranked Utah Utes. Chilly weather, a strong defense, and a raucous environment await the Sun Devils in Salt Lake City, as ASU will look to play the road warriors role, as the Utes have only lost 2 of its last 31 games on home soil. We now send it out to my fellow Midwesterner who knows how to handle the cold. Here's WCSN football reporter Riley Swenson from Salt Lake City.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, a little bit chillier here than back in Arizona, but all things considered, should be a nice day for football tomorrow afternoon here at Rice-Eccles Stadium. And when we're looking at this Utah squad and how they're going to match up with ASU, you got to start on the defense and their ability just to get off the field on 3rd down. Opponents are converting at just 27%. That's 2nd best in all of FBS. And a big reason for that is they get after the quarterback, led by Jonah Ellis. The junior defensive end has 10 sacks on the season. That's 3rd in the country. Now looking at their offense, there's a spot where ASU can take advantage. It's when Utah has the football. And coming in the past couple of years, Cam Rising has led this offense. It's been built around him, but now it's up to quarterbacks Bryson Barnes and at times Nate Johnson. And to put it lightly, it just hasn't been quite as effective. While the defense shines on 3rd down, the offense struggles for the Utes. They're converting at just 36%. That's last in the conference. And on top of that, they played here at home last weekend against Oregon and failed to score a touchdown. When looking at this game as a whole, Utah defense, one of the best in the country. Utah offense, not quite the same. We can almost guarantee that third down is going to play a factor tomorrow if the Sun Devils are going to come in here and get a big road victory. Now, back to you guys in the studio.
Two weeks ago, ASU soccer was coming off the high of a huge victory over then-ranked number 11 USC. Since then, the Devils have lost 3 straight contests, dropped out of the national rankings, and slipped out of the top 25 of the NCAA RPI. For a status update on Graham Winkworth's squad that's looking for their first back-to-back tournament appearances since 2009 and 2010, we check in with Ryan Myers and Luke Galindo.
Welcome to Tempe. My name is Ryan Myers. Joined alongside me is Luke Galindo here at Sun Devils Soccer Stadium. And Luke, we're talking ASU women's soccer. The Sun Devils have lost their last 3 matches, dating back to two Sundays ago against UCLA on this very pitch. They also went on a road trip, had a loss to Utah and a loss to Colorado as well, respectively. Can you give me some insight as to why this ASU team has kind of been on a slippery slope in comparison to what we've seen earlier in the season?
Well, Ryan, that loss against UCLA seemed like a positive loss if there is such a thing. They only gave up 1 goal against number 3 ranked UCLA in the 89th minute, so they held their own against a very good team. However, those losses against Colorado and Utah, ASU just did not seem like themselves. This is a team that prides themselves on their defense. They've been struggling with some injuries, one of the most impactful ones being graduate defender Liska Carlier. Liska has a great physical presence to this defense. She does a great job at utilizing her body to force turnovers and force their opponents to make some bad passes, giving ASU possession. And not only is she a great defender, but she's also a great leader and commander of this back line. And it's been one of the reasons why ASU's defense has been so good. It'll be interesting to see what roster changes Coach Winkworth will make to fill that spot, but also it'll be very interesting to see if Liska can still have that leadership role from the sidelines.
Yeah, Luke, you talked about the sloppy play, and obviously sloppy play is not something you want to see from a top-ranked team in the nation. The United Soccer Coaches Poll has saw ASU ranked at number 18 just last week. They've now fallen outside of the top 25 completely, and with Monday's NCAA tournament bracket dropping, Luke, what does ASU have to do tonight in order to get a win over their state rivals down in Tucson?
Well, Ryan, ASU has to come out aggressive on offense. The Wildcats in all their wins this season, they've been the ones to score first. So it's going to be very important for ASU to get on the board early and set the tone for this game. In the last 2 games that these teams have played against each other in the past 2 years, they've been 1-score games. So this game's going to come down to the wire and truly test the ASU stamina.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. Tonight's match will be kicking off at 7 p.m. down in Tucson, where Arizona State will be playing for more than just a rivalry. For Luke Galindo and Ryan Myers, we'll send it back to you guys in Studio 6.
All right, let's talk some hockey now. After splitting a pair of games against Miami of Ohio last weekend, Sun Devil Hockey returns home to kickstart an 8-game, 4-team homestand. In the stand, ASU will host a pair of top 10 teams in the form of 2nd-ranked Denver and 7th-ranked Providence. That Providence series, by the way, will be taking place Thanksgiving weekend. That's right after that Alaska Anchorage series. And the key to being strong in these long homestands is the depth of a hockey team. It's as crucial as ever. And we got a pair of WCSN hockey reporters ready to drop the puck on this segment. So we'll start with Gabby Chernoff, who has more on Arizona State's depth.
Sun Devil Hockey is off to a 4-1-1 start, and their numbers in the win column can be largely attributed to their team-wide depth. The top 6 forwards have combined for 24 points on the season, and forward Matthew Copperud has scored the game winner in 3 of ASU's 4 wins. The fourth line is a whole different beast, being praised numerous times as Sun Devil Hockey's best line by head coach Greg Powers. The defensive core is packed with two-way playmakers, Tim Lovell leading the charge in that regard with 4 points through 6 games. Lovell's D partner Brandon Tabakin leads the team in the plus-minus column with his +4. And the defense as a whole is very active with their sticks, constantly breaking up passing and scoring lanes to keep the Devils ahead. The men in the cage have been getting it done on the back end as well, so here's Zach Nicolaitis with more on ASU's goaltenders.
The Sun Devils' depth is just as prominent between the pipes, as ASU has 2 reliable netminders to throw into action. TJ Septemfelter was overworked last season, starting in 36 games with a 2.84 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. This time around, head coach Greg Powers wants to give TJ more rest while still giving him the majority of the nods.
The whole plan was to get Gibby at least a game in the first 6 to get him going. so we can preserve TJ and manage him better than we did last year, better than I did last year.
So far in this year's campaign, Septim-Felter is 4-1-0 while boasting a 1.98 goals against average and a .913 save percentage. When TJ won't be in net, it'll be up to sophomore Gibson Homer, who made his NCAA debut last weekend versus Miami, Ohio. Homer tied the Redhawks in his first contest, standing tall with a .93 goals against average and a .958 save percentage. It's definitely a good problem to have for the Sun Devils moving forward with two reliable goaltenders backstopping the Sun Devils.
Mississippi State is, was 11-0 in the non-conference last year, and they were an NCAA tournament team, and very good defensive team and physical team. So we have our work cut out for us next Wednesday.
We are just 5 days away from the start of college basketball season as Bobby Hurley and Arizona State will open their season at the Barstool Sports Invitational in Chicago against Mississippi State. The Devils, who are trying to build on their NCAA tournament appearance from a year ago behind a troop of newcomers, have a loaded non-conference schedule to start the year. WCSN men's basketball reporter Justin DeHaas breaks it all down.
The Arizona State men's basketball program begins the 2023-24 season on November 8 with a matchup against the Mississippi State Bulldogs at the Barstool Sports Invitational in Chicago. Mississippi State will be the first of potentially 5 teams the Sun Devils will play that appeared in March Madness last season. Besides the Barstool Invitational, ASU will play in 3 other non-conference events. The Devils will play in the Vegas Showdown with a game against the BYU Cougars on Thanksgiving, and a matchup against either North Carolina State or Vanderbilt on Black Friday. If ASU plays NC State, it would be a battle of 11 seeds from the NCAA tournament a year ago. The Sun Devils travel to Fort Worth, Texas as well to take on the TCU Horned Frogs in the USLBM Coast to Coast Challenge on December 16. ASU will look to get its revenge against TCU after losing to the Horned Frogs in the round of 64 last season from a last-second shot by Jacoby Coles. ASU will come back home to play the Northwestern Wildcats in the Jerry Colangelo Hall of Fame Series at the Footprint Center on December 20 to finish the non-conference slate. Last year, the Wildcats had their first winning season since the 2016-17 season, finishing with a 22-12 record and losing to UCLA in the second round of the tournament as a 7th seed. Other notable non-conference games include home matchups against the reigning SWAC champion Texas Southern Tigers and the San Francisco Dons. The Sun Devils lost to both these teams last season, but in completely different ways. ASU lost to Texas Southern by 1 point in overtime and lost to San Francisco by 37 points, which was its largest margin of deficit last season. So the Devils will look to avenge both of those losses at Desert Financial Arena. This is one of the most difficult non-conference slates the Sun Devils have scheduled with Bobby Hurley at the helm. ASU could play 5 tournament teams from last season, which will be the second most played in non-conference action under Hurley, just behind the 6 tournament teams the Devils played in the 2021-22 non-conference schedule. The Sun Devils will be playing in the Pac-12 for the last season, and they will be battle-tested entering conference play. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Justin DeHaas.
Earlier this afternoon, class of 2024 forward Sammy Yane announced his commitment to play at Arizona State. The 4-star Chandler native is the 3rd commit in Bobby Hurley's 2024 class to be ranked within the top 30 nationally in their respective position. Yane looks to play a prominent role for the Sun Devils in their first season in the loaded Big 12 next season. But for now, the Conference of Champions is ready to run it back one final time. Will the finale resemble the likes of Seinfeld, or will it go out like Bryan Cranston's Walter White? Time will only tell. But for now, our Justin Lastratosa tells us why we should back the pack one final time.
It's about that time of the year. Men's hoops are back in the pack, but this time it's the series finale. As the Pac-12 is set to disband after this season, a fresh cast of characters are set to make their Pac-12 debuts, making the finale must-see TV. Alright, let's cut right to the chase. This summer, the conference introduced a handful of nationally renowned recruits. The Pac is now home to 9 of the top 50 signees, with 5 in the top 20, the most of any conference in the country. Even more notably, 6 of those signees were named McDonald's All-Americans, totaling not only the most All-Americans in a single conference, but the most the Pac-12 has ever had. USC ranks 3rd nationally in recruitment, roping in the consensus #1 guard in the country, Isaiah Collier, who will be set to lead a fast-paced, up-tempo Trojan offense. Of course, alongside him is Bronny James, and although it's uncertain when he'll grace the hardwood, the Trojans also brought in 4-star forward Brandon Gardner, a specimen down low whose physicality creates an extra layer offensively. Trailing USC in the recruitment rankings are the Oregon Ducks, who brought in not 1, not 2, but 3 consensus top 40 players in Kwame Evans Jr., Mookie Cook, and Jackson Shelstad. Now, following Oregon is UCLA, where the Bruins brought in 5-star center Adai Mara, along with forward Berke Buyuktinchil, both whom were selected as 1 and 2 respectively on ESPN's top 10 international freshman rankings. All 3 programs sit among the nation's elites as some of the top recruiting programs in 2023. When you combine that with Colorado adding a consensus top 7 recruit in Cody Williams, Stanford adding a second-generation star and All-American in Andrei Stojakovic, and U of A winning the Pac-12 preseason poll and adding high-level impact transfers in sophomore guard Jaden Bradley and senior guard Caleb Love, it's clear that the final season of the Pac-12 will quickly turn into a bloodbath. Now let's add the Sun Devils to the equation. Although they sit as a distant 6th in the pack on the recruitment rankings, head coach Bobby Hurley was aggressive in retooling the roster, and if the Sun Devils can sustain their defensive identity and capitalize on their potential lineup versatility, they could find themselves overcoming the odds yet again and dancing their way into March. However, the Pac-12 is filled with juggernauts in its final season, and the Sun Devils will be faced with adversity throughout the final season in the Conference of Champions. From Cronkite Sports, I'm Justin Lacertosa.
Last season, Arizona State women's basketball finished the year with an easily forgettable 8-20 overall record and won just 1 Pac-12 conference game. Coach Natasha Adair has since brought in 8 newcomers, 4 of which you can see on your screen right now, and our Isai Romero has more on the new-look Sun Devil squad.
After a disappointing 2022-2023 campaign, ASU women's basketball saw 4 players enter the transfer portal. Head coach Natasha Adair was in desperate need of some fresh faces. Adair's recruiting campaign started in February, bringing in the Miller sisters, sophomore guard Hannah Miller making the move to Tempe as a JUCO transfer, and her younger sister Mallory, a 6'4" forward, was Adair's first signing of the class of 2023. Also on the move to the Valley is sophomore wing Jalen Brown from Louisville. Brown is another highly rated recruit out of St. Francis, but didn't see the floor much for the Cardinals, only playing 32 minutes the whole season. Brown has all the tools to be a dominant wing, as she can score on all 3 levels as well as do it on the defensive end. Junior forward Sandra Magalico was another transfer that followed Brown. Magalico started in 28 of the 30 games in the 2022-2023 season for the New Mexico Junior College, averaging 8 points and 6 rebounds, leading the Thunderbirds to the round of 16 in the NJCAA Women's Championship. In June, Adair brought in another transfer and sophomore forward Khadijah Torre and signing center Kylie Miller. Torre transferred in from James Madison, continuing the trend of DMV-centered recruiting from Adair's native area. On the flip side, Miller returns home. The surprise native was a dominant force throughout her high school career. During her junior year, she averaged 20 points, 15 rebounds, 4 blocks, all while shooting at a 70% clip. Addison Novosel was the Sun Devils' next add, transferring in from St. Francis. The junior guard will bring floor spacing and high-level shooting as she led her team in threes last year. In addition to the fresh faces in Tempe, junior guard Mauricia Wiggins and senior forward Maggie Besselink will both return with ASU after missing all year due to injury. Wiggins is a Michigan native, and in her freshman year, Wiggins attended North Carolina but only saw the floor for 8 minutes a game. Besselink, who we haven't seen since the 2021-2022 season, was most notable in her 12-game stint in 2021, where she was second in rebounding. She will be a good leader for the Sun Devils this season. Adair and company will have a lot to sort out through the non-conference play. The Sun Devils come into the 2023-2024 season with a lot to prove in the last year of the Pac-12. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Isai Romero.
The LA schools are in town for Sun Devil Swim and Dive this weekend. We got a quick update for you on a meet that took place earlier today. The ASU women defeated number 23 UCLA by a score of 175 to 125. They will be back in action tomorrow morning, along with the men, as they welcome in the USC Trojans. Both USC's men's and women's sides are ranked within the top 20. To tell us more about the Trojans, here's Justin Carter.
ASU's number 1 ranked men and number 21 ranked women face off this Saturday against the number 16 and number 7 Trojans. It's USC's first dual meet, but they've already competed in 2 invitationals where the women took first in each and the men finished with a third and first place finish. Last season, the men of Troy placed 5th at Pac-12 championships, led by junior Chris O'Grady and senior Ben Dillard, who took 5th and 6th in the 200 breast. An event won by none other than ASU's own Leon Marchand with the all-time NCAA record of 147.67. On the women's side for USC, the name to look out for is Caitlin Dobler, who earned her new meet record time of 57.35 in the 100 breast at the SMU Invitational in Dallas. She also met the NCAA standard in Dallas for the 100 and 200 breaststroke. At Pac-12s last year, Dobler took first place in the 200 breast with a time of 57.10. The performance highlighted a stellar year for the USC women as they would place second in the Pac-12 championship. It'll be a tall task for the Sun Devil women to take down the seasoned Trojans, while the number 1 ranked ASU men will hope to take care of business against a weaker men's team. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Justin Carter.
The Arizona State fall men's golf season is in the books, and the number 5 ranked team in the country by Golf Week did not finish outside the top 4 of any of the events they competed in. They wrapped up their fall earlier this week with a victory at the CPC Invitational at Cypress Point Club in Pebble Beach, and more on how they got the job done. Here's Aiden O'Neill.
Yeah, guys, I'm here at the Arizona State Golf Practice Facility, and vibes are good to say the least, coming off another fall tournament victory at the Cypress Point Match Play in Pebble Beach, California. It all started on the morning of October 30th, where familiar Pac-12 opponent in Stanford waited in the wings. ASU defeated Stanford 2-1, quickly moving on to the second round to take on the Tennessee Volunteers. It was more the same for the Sun Devils as they defeated Tennessee 2-1 and were on to the championship to face nationally ranked UT Austin. In the championship, it was singles format, sending Riggs Johnston, Nicholas Prieto, and Luke Potter to get the job done. The Sun Devils ended up tying with UT Austin 3-3, but ultimately won the tournament based off of most holes won overall. To conclude the fall campaign, you couldn't have asked for much more, and Sun Devil fans across the country are excited for a potential successful spring season.
Arizona State wrestling season kicks off tonight with the Maroon and Gold scrimmage. Here's a look at their upcoming events with the regular season just 8 days away. They got a pair of events on the road at Lehigh, and then they get that duel on the road at Missouri. If you remember last year, the first meet at Mullet was against the Missouri Tigers. ASU upset Missouri then they wrap it up with a trip to Las Vegas. To help us preview this upcoming Sun Devil squad, we join Crawford McKinstry.
Arizona State Wrestling comes into this season with determination as they have their eyes set on a national championship. The Sun Devils' star-studded roster has 8 ranked wrestlers, each with a laundry list of accomplishments. So as ASU heads into its final season in the pack, let's take a look at a few Sun Devils who are sure to make noise this year. First up, redshirt junior Kyle Parco, who currently ranks 3rd in the nation at 149 pounds and has won back-to-back Pac-12 championships. Parco finished 4th at the NCAA championships last season, taking home All-American honors and concluding the year with a strong 27-6 record. So after a successful 2023 campaign and an off-season full of preparation, Parco said his goal is to win a national championship in 2024. Next up, making his return to the mats after missing all of last season due to injury, 3-time Pac-12 champ and redshirt senior Ja'Cory Teamer looks to pick up right where he left off in 2022. Teamer aims to dominate at 157 pounds once again as he held a 22-match win streak that spanned the entire regular season and Pac-12 championships. The All-American won his 3rd straight Pac-12 title 2 seasons ago and placed 6th at the NCAA championships. As Teamer is set to compete for ASU for the first time since 2022, the already stacked Sun Devils are unleashing yet another beast upon collegiate wrestling. Lastly, holding it down for the heavyweights is redshirt junior and 2022 Pac-12 Wrestler of the Year Colton Schultz. Last season saw Schultz win the Pac-12 championship at 285 and receive All-American honors. Schultz is a force to be reckoned with, as his excellent record of 24-4 booked himself a ticket to Chile, where he is currently representing the U.S. in the 2023 Pan American Games. ASU's three-headed monster hopes to lead a rugged Sun Devil team to success, but it won't be easy. Arizona State has a lot of tough opponents looking to take them down, and their first taste of competition comes next Saturday at Wranglemania against Lock Haven and top 25 UNC. For Cronkite Sports, I'm Crawford McKinstry.
Man, let's create new traditions. Let's create new traditions as Sun Devil fans, as football teams, new rivalries that we didn't think could even be created. That's what this opens it up for. So buy your season tickets for next year. Let's be excited to see UCF at home, right? And all those other opponents, but that's what it's about, new opportunity.
Do you hear that? It's the winds of change. Earlier this week, the Big 12 Conference unveiled their football schedules for the 2024 through 2027 seasons, and with it comes the end of many of the annual Pac-12 matchup that we've become accustomed to, but also the blank canvas of new rivalries and traditions that will surely be created in the future. We've already seen a glimpse into the future, and I'm not talking about just football. Yes, Oklahoma State visited Mountain America this season, and the Sun Devils are slated to face the Cowboys for a third season in a row next fall, but ASU soccer met with Texas Tech in September, the now number 4 team in the nation. During the fall, ASU men's golf competed against 5 different schools that will be in the Big 12 next year, and don't forget ASU hockey, who might not be coming to the Big 12, but is playing Miami of Ohio, Denver, and Colorado College this season. 3 schools they will join in the ever so challenging NCHC next season, giving them much more stability after spending years traveling arguably more than any other team in college sports. The red carpets of LA and showers of Seattle are being traded in for the tumbleweaves of Lubbock, Texas, cornfields of Ames, Iowa, and hills of Lawrence, Kansas. Now, the markets of the Big 12 might not sound too exciting, but one thing is for sure. More eyes will be on the Sun Devils in a conference full of schools with passionate fan bases that are rich with game day traditions. Change can be hard, especially when it has to do with tradition, but as John F. Kennedy once said, change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. And that's the way it is.
It's time for top plays, and we'll start on the gridiron, and we'll start with this deep ball down the sideline from Bourget to Jalen Conyers. 50-yard catch. He even put somebody in the ground, and he was fired up after the end of the play. He even drew a penalty there. That's how fired up he was. ASU would go on to win later on.
At number 3, we head back over to Mullet Arena for some ASU volleyball. There's Mary Scholl with the dig, Shannon Shields with the set, and the Pac-12 Player of the Week, Marta Levinska, sends it down. She had 17 kills in the match to lead all players.
We go back to Mountain America Stadium for number 2. Sun Devils on their opening drive. Bourget on the toss to Carlos Brooks. A great cutback, and he gets some airtime for his first touchdown of the season. That'd be his first of 3 on the night. ASU would go on to win 38-27.
And now our number 1 play of the week. This is match point against Stanford. Maddie McLaughlin sets down the short set from Shannon Shields as ASU gets their second top 5 sweep of the season. They are absolutely rolling. And that will do it for us on another edition of Cronkite Sports Live. For Kevin Malater and our so talented studio crew, we say so long. We'll see you again next week.